Megan is a Yoruba traditional spell that is used on married women who cheats on their husbands. This story is about to expose what Mrs. Abike, the wife of Mr. Kunle, did that ruined their marriage. Sit tight with your popcorn and juice. Let's enjoy the story together. Oh my God, please somebody help me. Oh. My husband will kill me. I am in deep soup, I'm dying. In the quiet town of Or, nestled deep within Ondo State, lived a man of great respect and reputation. His name was Mr. Kunle, a devout Muslim and a skilled carpenter whose hands shape wood into masterpieces. Known for his dedication both to his craft and his faith, Mr. Kunle lived a life of modesty, discipline, and unwavering commitment to the teachings of Islam. His small home, built with his own hands, stood modestly on the outskirts of town. Inside that home lived his beautiful wife, Abike, and their 2 children, a cheerful little boy named Suleiman and a spirited girl named Aisha. To outsiders, the Kunle family looked perfect. Mr. Kunle provided everything his family needed: food, clothing, shelter, and love. Even when his religious duties took him to other towns and states for Islamic conferences, he made sure his family never lacked. But beneath the calm surface of this peaceful home, a storm had been gathering. Abike, his wife of 10 years, had once been the envy of every woman in Oregon. She was elegant, intelligent, and always respectful to others, at least in public. Her eyes, once filled with admiration for her husband, had grown distant. Whenever Mr. Kunle was away on his religious journeys, Abike's behavior began to shift. She would dress more boldly, wear perfumes too strong for someone just staying at home, and be seen outside later than usual. At first, Kunle thought nothing of it. He was a man who believed deeply in trust. He held the teachings of the Prophet in his heart, especially the one that urged men to trust their wives and avoid suspicion. When neighbors whispered about Abike's strange behavior, Kunle dismissed them with a smile. "My wife," he would say. "Never. She is a woman of dignity. These are just the lies of idle tongues." But tongues don't stay idle for long in a small town. The whispers grew louder, and soon, the name of a certain young man began to enter the gossip. His name was Jackson, a 20-year-old farmer who lived just 2 compounds away. Strong, energetic, and full of youthful charm, Jackson was known for being helpful to everyone, especially the women. He would often be seen helping Abike carry firewood, fix her water pipe, or bring vegetables from the farm. "Jackson is just being kind," Kunle once said when someone suggested otherwise. But the pattern was too hard to ignore. Then came the rumors, ugly, persistent rumors. They said the wife of one of the most respected Muslim preachers in town was sneaking into the arms of a boy young enough to be her son. At first, Kunle laughed. But laughter turned to unease when he noticed how Abike's eyes lit up whenever Jackson passed by. He began watching her more closely. One night, around 1 a.m., Kunle lay awake, pretending to sleep. The moonlight streamed through the thin curtain, casting soft shadows across the room. He heard a gentle creak of the bed, the soft shuffle of feet on the floor, and then the quiet click of the door. He waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. Then 30. His heart sank. That was the night Kunle knew something was terribly wrong. He didn't confront Abike. Not yet. Instead, he turned to something ancient. Though a devout Muslim, Kunle came from a lineage that respected the power of traditional wisdom. He remembered stories his grandfather told him as a child about herbalists who could catch thieves with powder and trap liars with ropes no thicker than a thread. One particular charm stuck in his mind. It was called Megan, meaning "do not climb" in Yoruba. A powerful spell used by betrayed husbands to expose adulterous wives. Once the charm was laid and a man crossed into the bed meant only for the husband, both the wife and her lover would be struck with a curse. They would be stuck together, physically, or unable to move or separate until the rightful husband returned to witness their disgrace. Mr. Kunle was desperate enough to try. He traveled to a nearby village known for its herbalists. Disguising his identity, he met an old man named Baba Ifagbayay. The herbalist listened in silence, then nodded solemnly. "You must be sure," the old man said, grinding herbs with a stone. "Magan is no child's play. It exposes shame. And once the shame is out, it can never be hidden again." "I am sure," Kunle replied. "If my wife is truly innocent, then nothing will happen." Baba Ifagbayay handed him a small leather pouch tied with a red string. Inside was a thin, nearly invisible rope, soaked in oils and chants, infused with bitter herbs and ancestral power. "Lay it at the entrance of your bedroom," the old man instructed. "Say nothing. Watch everything." Kunle returned home, heavy-hearted but resolute. On a warm Saturday evening, just before sunset, he prepared the trap. While Abike was in the kitchen, humming and stirring a pot of egusi soup, Kunle knelt quietly by the entrance of their bedroom and placed the enchanted rope across the doorway. It looked like nothing more than a stray thread, easily missed by the untrained eye. But its power was real. He packed his prayer mat and headed to the mosque, pretending it was just another of his late-night vigils. He kissed Abike on the forehead. "Pray for me," he said softly. She smiled sweetly. "Always." But no sooner had Kunle left than Abike's eyes shifted. Her lips curled into a sly grin, and she quickly began preparing herself. She sprayed on perfume, tied her wrapper tightly, and glanced at the wall clock. It was only a few minutes past 8. Exactly the time Jackson usually came. And like clockwork, the young man appeared, shirt clinging to his chest with sweat, carrying a small basket of roasted corn. They exchanged no words, none were needed. Abike opened the door and stepped aside. Jackson, eager and confident, stepped across the bedroom threshold. As he did, something unseen stirred. He undressed quickly, tossing his shirt aside and climbed onto the bed. Abike lay waiting, arms open, unaware of the ancient force that now hovered in the room. The moment Jackson's body touched hers, it happened. A flash of invisible energy surged through the air. Jackson froze mid-motion, his eyes wide with confusion. Abike gasped, trying to push him off. But they couldn't move. Their bodies were stuck, bonded by the curse. Her scream pierced the night. "Yeah! Somebody help me!" Jackson's mouth opened, but no sound came. His tongue was heavy, his throat silent. He had gone mute. Worse still, his eyes rolled backward as if something inside him was breaking. Neighbors began to gather. First one, then two, then a small crowd formed outside Kunle's house. They could hear Abike screaming. They banged on the door, unsure of what was going on inside. Abike's cries grew more frantic. "Help me! Please help me! I'm dying!" But no one dared enter. And Kunle? He was already on his way home, walking slowly, a heavy silence surrounding him like a cloak. He knew the trap had worked. The screams from Kunle's compound pierced the night air like a knife. It was not the kind of noise people were used to hearing in that peaceful neighborhood. Shouts of panic, fear, and desperation filled the silence of the evening, and soon, one by one, curious neighbors came out of their homes, holding lanterns and torchlights, drawn by the haunting cries echoing through the air. A few men approached cautiously, pushing open the wooden gate to Mr. Kunle's compound. What they saw froze them in their tracks. There, crawling out of the bedroom in a twisted entanglement, were Mrs. Abike and young Jackson, locked together in an unholy union. Sweat drenched their bodies. Their faces were filled with fear and pain. Abike's wrapper was half fallen, and Jackson's trousers barely clung to his waist. They struggled helplessly, their bodies glued together, unable to escape each other's shame. Abike screamed at the top of her lungs, "Please! Somebody help me! Help us! We're dying!" Jackson, on the other hand, had lost the ability to speak. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. The villagers stood at a distance, horrified. No one dared move close. The spiritual energy radiating from the scene was thick and terrifying. People whispered among themselves, shaking their heads in disbelief. "Is that not Abike, Kunle's wife? And what is she doing with that boy, Jackson? Ah! This is not ordinary." Children were quickly ushered away by their mothers. Women covered their mouths in shock, and the elders stepped forward, their faces grim with the weight of what they had just witnessed. The entire community was in turmoil. How could a woman, married to a respected religious leader, descend to this level of disgrace? To be caught in such a state, with a boy half her age, was beyond scandal. It was abomination. An elderly man stepped forward. His name was Paladoja, the oldest man in the community and a keeper of ancient knowledge. "This is no sickness," he said after examining the cursed lovers from a distance. "This is the work of Megan, the spell of shame." Gasps swept through the crowd. "Megan," someone repeated. "Yes," Paladoja said, stroking his white beard. "And the only person who can reverse Megan is the one who placed it." Everyone understood what that meant. Without delay, a group of young men rushed to the mosque, where Mr. Kunle was still deep in prayer, unaware of the chaos unraveling at home. He had spent the last hour reciting verses from the Quran, hoping for clarity, peace, and maybe even forgiveness for what he had done. But the moment he saw the panicked faces of the boys, he knew something had happened. "Brother Kunle," one of them cried. "Come quickly. It's your wife." He didn't ask questions. He rose immediately, grabbed his slippers, and followed them. What he found at his compound would haunt him for the rest of his life. There, before the eyes of almost the entire village, lay his wife, his Abike, clinging helplessly to another man. Jackson's eyes were wild with fear. Abike, his once loving wife, now looked like a woman possessed. Kunle froze at the gate. His heart stopped for a moment. Everything around him became a blur. He could barely hear the murmurs, barely feel the hands trying to steady him. It was as though time had frozen. He staggered forward, each step heavy, each breath shallow. The shame, the betrayal, the disgust, it all hit him at once. 10 years. 10 long years. He had trusted her. Defended her. Provided for her. Loved her. And this was how she repaid him? Tears welled in his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. He clenched his fists. His face hardened. Then came the moment that changed everything. Jackson, who had been motionless for minutes, suddenly began to convulse. His body tensed. Then he leapt into the air, once. A collective gasp escaped the crowd. "Ah! He's jumping," someone shouted. "He's under the final stage of Megan," Paladoja warned, his voice grave. "If he jumps 3 times, he will die." Everyone turned to Kunle. Jackson leapt a second time, his limbs twisting like a fish out of water. His eyes were white, his mouth still silent. 2 jumps. Just one more, and the curse would end his life. "Kunle, please," one of the elders begged. "You've made your point. Let the boy live. Don't let blood be on your hands," another added. But Kunle stood still, his jaw tight, his eyes locked on the disgrace before him. "He knew she was married," Kunle said coldly. "He knew she had a husband. Yet he came. He came to my house. My bed." Abike whimpered. Please, please, forgive me. The crowd remained silent, tension hanging like smoke in the air. Paula Doja stepped forward, placing a hand on Kunle's shoulder. My son, he said gently, you are a man of faith. Yes, you were betrayed. Yes, your heart is broken. But vengeance belongs to God. Let the boy live. Let this be the end of it. Kunle stared at his wife, this woman he once loved with every fiber of his being, and then at the young fool who had gambled with his life. Jackson's legs tense again, ready for the third and final leap. Enough! Kunle shouted. He stepped forward, drew a small pouch from his pocket, and whispered the reversal incantation Baba Ifagbeye had taught him. As he sprinkled the contents over the cursed pair, a sudden wind rushed through the compound, scattering dust and leaves. A blinding flash of invisible energy surged, and with a thud, the two were released from the curse. Jackson rolled away, gasping, his body trembling. Abike curled up, sobbing uncontrollably. The crowd exhaled in relief. But Kunle was not done. He turned to Abike, his voice firm but hollow. You will leave this house tonight, he said. You are no longer my wife. You have brought disgrace not only to me but to this community. May God forgive you. And with that, he turned and walked into his house, shutting the door behind him. The people slowly began to disperse. Some carried Jackson away to his mother's house. Others offered quiet prayers for Kunle's healing. Abike, now alone, sat on the bare ground, weeping into her wrapper as the shadows of night closed in. My people, who do we blame for the course of this problem? Was it the husband who was always traveling but always provides for the family, or the wife who just wants to cheat? Let's discuss all of this in the comment section. If you are just watching for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button so you can be notified anytime we drop a new story. Like this video and share the video to as many persons as possible. See you in my next episode.